The Harare masterpiece, Vaibhav Suryavanshi 175-80. The Harare Sports Club has witnessed many historic moments, but few have been as explosive or as generation-defining as the one that unfolded on February 6, 2026. In the high-pressure environment of the ICC Under-19 Men's Cricket World Cup final, a 14-year-old prodigy from Bihar, Vaibhav Suryavanshi, didn't just play an innings, he authored a manifesto for the future of Indian batting. His 175 runs off just 80 balls, featuring 15 towering sixes, was a performance of such statistical and aesthetic magnitude that it immediately drew comparisons to the most sacred number in Indian cricket history, Kapil Dev's 175 asterisk in 1983. 1. The context, a final of epic proportions. India entered the 2026 final as five-time champions, seeking a record-extending sixth title. Their opponents, England, had also been unbeaten throughout the tournament, boasting a disciplined pace attack led by Manny Lumsden and James Minto. When Indian captain Ayush Matre won the toss and elected to bat, the stage was set for a classic confrontation. However, the classic nature of the match lasted only a few overs. While India lost Aaron George early, Suryavanshi remained unperturbed. What followed was a 100-minute blitzkrieg that effectively decided the World Cup before the first innings had even concluded. 2. The anatomy of an inning, a four-stage destruction phase I. The measured launch, overs 1 to 8. Suryavansh's start was uncharacteristically watchful. He spent the first few overs assessing the bounce of the Harare pitch, scoring at a relatively modest strike rate. But even in this phase, his technique was visible, a double downswing that creates a whip-like effect, allowing him to generate immense power with his wrists. Once he found his rhythm, he stepped on the pedal and never looked back. Phase 2, the Powerplay surge, overs 9 to 15. The transition from watchful to destructive was instantaneous. Suryavanshi reached his 50 off just 32 balls. He targeted the English seamers, repeatedly using his feet to negate any swing. The signature shot of this phase was a lofted drive over cover that cleared the boundary by 20 yards, a shot that signaled to the English camp that their lengths were no longer safe. Phase 3, the century blitz, over 16 to 22. Between his 50 and 100, Suryavanshi played what can only be described as video game cricket. He took just 23 more deliveries to move from 50 to 100, reaching his maiden World Cup century in 55 balls. This became the second fastest century in U19 World Cup history. The landmark was met with a roar from the Harare crowd and a humble raise of the bat from the teenager, who seemed to treat the milestone as a mere formality. Phase 4. The 150 and the Suryavanshi storm, overs 23 to 26. Post-century, the aggression reached a fever pitch. Suryavanshi brought up his 150 in just 71 balls. In one particularly brutal over, he hammered 27 runs, including 3 consecutive sixes. His ability to react to the ball after it pitched, rather than predicting it, made him virtually impossible to bowl to. By the time he was caught behind off Manny Lumsden in the 26th over for 175, he had struck 15 sixes, the most ever by a player in a single youth ODI. 3. Technical analysis, the late downswing phenomenon. Cricketing analysts have been fascinated by Suryavansh's unique mechanics. Unlike traditional batters who begin their downswing as the bowler releases the ball, Vaibhav starts his real downswing incredibly late, often after the ball has pitched. The whip effect. His wrists act as a catapult, allowing him to flick balls that are not even in his slot over the ropes. Spin neutralization. For spinners, Suryavanshi is a nightmare. Because he reacts so late to the turn, he essentially plays every delivery as a half volley or full toss. Physicality. At 14, his core strength is already comparable to senior international players. His bat speed has been measured as one of the highest in the world, drawing comparisons to the raw power of a young MS Dhoni or the wristy elegance of Brian Lara. 4. Statistical milestones. The sheer numbers from this innings are staggering. 175 runs, the highest individual score in an under-19 World Cup final history, surpassing Unmuck Chan's 111 asterisk. 15 sixes, a world record for the most sixes in a single youth ODI match. 30 sixes in the tournament, shattered the previous record held by South Africa's Dewar Brevis, 22. Strike rate of 218.75, the highest strike rate for any century-plus score in AU19 World Cup. Boundary contribution. 150 of his 175 runs, 85.7%, came from boundaries alone. 5. The historical parallel. Kapil Dev versus Vaibhav Suryavanshi. In Indian cricket, the number 175 is sacred. It was a score Kapil Dev famously made against Zimbabwe in the 1983 World Cup to save India from 17 fifths. Suryavanshi 175 in 2026, coincidentally also in Zimbabwe, Harare, felt like a poetic nod to that legacy. While Kapil's innings was about survival and resurrection, Suryavanshi was about pure, unadulterated dominance. Commentators noted that while Kapil Dev brought India into the global spotlight, Suryavanshi 175 signals a new era where Indian youngsters no longer just compete. They dominate with fearlessness that was once thought impossible at such a young age. 6. The aftermath. India's sixth title. Driven by Suryavanshi 175, India posted a mammoth 411-9, the highest score ever recorded in a U19 World Cup final. England fought bravely, with Caleb Faulkner scoring a century of his own, 115. But the mountain was simply too high to climb. England was bowled out for 311, giving India a 100-run victory in their 6th U19 World Cup title. Vaibhav Suryavanshi was rightfully named player of the match and player of the tournament, finishing with 439 runs. 7. Conclusion. The rise of the boss baby. Vaibhav Suryavanshi 175-80 is not just a statistical anomaly. It is a cultural moment in Indian sports. Born in the small town of Taja, Bihar, and rising through domestic cricket to become the youngest centurion in IPL history, 35 bowls for Rajasthan Royals. His journey is a testament to the changing landscape of Indian cricket. As he walked off the Harare pitch to a standing ovation, he didn't just leave behind a broken record. He left behind a blueprint. He proved that age is no barrier to greatness and that with a mix of raw power, technical innovation, and fearless intent, any stage, even a World Cup final, is just another opportunity to shine. Final scorecard summary. India, 411-9 in 50 overs. Vaibhav Suryavanshi 175. Ayush Matre 53. England, 311 all out in 40.2 overs. Caleb Faulkner 115. RJ Ambrish 356. Result. India won by 100 runs.